Hey, what's up? Welcome back. It's been a while. I know I have been a little bit busy, and to be frank, I didn't know if I wanted to put out this particular video or not because to me, it's pretty self-explanatory. But for other people, maybe it's not. So we're gonna go ahead and knock it out. So this is Private Security Contractor, high-vis operations. Last time we talked about low vis, which is low visibility. This time we're going to talk about high vis or high visibility. The main difference is in low vis, we were trying to blend in with the crowd, with the people. This time we're not. We are trying to be overt in our actions. We're trying to let everyone know that we're here. We're trying to let everybody know that we're here for business. How do we do that? Well, first and foremost is we will be driving different vehicles, okay? We're not gonna be driving your, low pro Mercedes or Toyotas or anything like that. More than likely, we're gonna be driving high pro vehicles, your black Suburbans, things like that. Everybody knows if you see a black Suburban with the windows tinted and some certain kind of antennas on it, everybody knows who those guys are, right? So the other thing we'll do is we'll ride around with, equipment on, right? So like, for example, this is a plate carrier. If you're going low pro, you're probably not gonna be wearing any of this stuff. If you remember, here we go. If you remember low pro, we talked about soft body armor, okay? And you can put some stuff like this, you can just Velcro it on there real easy, right? Take this off, put it down, maybe, by your floorboard, and you can have the cool thing they're doing now is with magnets. So you can have this, so you can magnetize this right over your shirt. So you have your magazines, any other information, maybe, whatever, GPS, things like that, and first aid equipment, things like that. Here, obviously, you can have placards for if you want to show whoever you are. That would be for low pro. High pro, you're not going to put this underneath a t-shirt, right? You're not going to put this underneath your cool plaid button up, right? This is overt actions, okay? So you're gonna be wearing this. Not only are you gonna be wearing this, it's probably gonna have like some US flags and things like that on it. You're gonna be carrying probably a rifle. This is unloaded, folks, calm down. I don't wanna get the YouTube Nazis after me, right? You're gonna be up here, you're gonna be carrying a rifle. You're gonna have it slung, you're gonna be walking around like this. Again, just to let people know that you're there and that you mean business, right? Depending on where you're at, who your bosses are, things like that, you may or may not need a helmet, okay? Again, it completely depends on who your bosses are and what kind of operation you're doing. Sometimes the helmet's a good idea. Like, I absolutely hate wearing them. However, sometimes they're a good idea. The other thing you'd be wearing is instead of a low pro, undercover, concealed carry type of deal, you're going to be wearing like an overt battle belt, right? So you're going to have something like this. You're going to have all your stuff that you need on there. Instead of a nice low pro Kydex holster, you're going to have, something that is much easier to use and also a lot more robust, right? Maybe instead of carrying a single stack, you're going to be carrying a full size. Maybe you're going to be carrying mid-size, depending on, what you got issued or what you can bring. You're going to have more magazines on here. So on here, for example, I'll have 2 Glock mags, 1 long gun mag. Here I'll have 2 Glock mags and 3 long gun mags. And then on my gun, I'll have 2 mags or maybe a drum, something like that. So that gives us 6 magazines of long gun, and then 5 magazines of pistol, right? If you go through 5 magazines of pistol and 6 magazines of long gun, you're having a really bad day, like a real bad day. The easiest thing we can talk about is when you're talking about high pro operations, think of like cops, right? Cops, what do they drive? They drive cop cars that are, plastered on the side that says police. They have the lights on, things like that. They're very overt in what they're doing. They want everybody to know that they're cops, and they want everybody to know that the cops are coming. Right? What's up, girl? that's the easiest way to say it. Low pro operations would be like an undercover cop. You don't know who they are, you don't know where they're at, okay? The other thing you're gonna see is when you, let's say you have to get out and walk the ambo somewhere, or whoever your principal is, you have to walk them around somewhere. You're gonna be walking around in stuff as opposed to like walking around in suits. Generally speaking, if people see a bunch of guys walking around in body armor as opposed to suits, they're more standoffish. They don't want to approach you. You see a bunch of guys in suits, you're not thinking they're armed to the teeth. You're just thinking they look nice. So you can go up to them and approach them a lot easier. We saw that a lot overseas. You wear this stuff, people kind of stay away a little bit, except for kids or people selling stuff. But you're wearing a suit and everybody wants to come talk to you. I don't know why, it's just kind of the way it is. Okay, so depending on your position in the team, what you do for the team is going to kind of depend on the weapon that you're going to use. Obviously, everybody has a pistol. Everybody has a rifle. But some dudes carry other things, like some dudes have breaching shotguns, some dudes have machine guns, things like that. So it kind of depends on where you're at. If you're on the detail for the AMBO, like personal security, or if you're on the CAT team or the hate team, the guys that come rescue people, all that depends on who they're on, right? If you're on the CAT team or the hate team, your whole job is to come and bring the hate, right? So you're going to be carrying a lot more machine guns, heavy belt-fed guns, because when you get there, you want to make a large impact right away, get everybody off the X or objective or whatever you want to call it, and then get the hell out of there. These guys, their main job is to protect the principal, right? So they might want to be a little bit lighter, maybe just rifles and maybe one machine gun, maybe like a trunk monkey or something like that. But besides that, they're going to basically be carrying rifles because they need to be able to maneuver a lot quicker. Pros and cons, right? So cons to, let's go. Pros to the low pro. Obviously, people don't know who you are. If you're cruising around, they don't see you, they're not going to blow you up, I guess. It's a lot harder for them to do that, right? Cons of low pro is you're low pro. So you are in the middle of everything, right? When you're in all this stuff and you have high pro vehicles like big Bearcats and stuff, people tend to move away from you. When you're low pro, you're surrounded, which is, can be like almost like claustrophobic if you're not used to it. So high pro or high vis or high profile operations, pros and cons. Pros, everybody knows who you are. Cons, everybody knows who you are. If you know that, there's a group of dudes in vests over there, let me go grab the RPG from 3 buildings over and try to shoot you. Everybody knows where you are. But one of the big pros to having all this stuff on is if you do need to call for backup and the big green weenie, i.e. the military, the actual military, sends whoever the hell they want to send to come rescue you, it's a lot easier to tell who the good guys are from the bad guys if everybody's wearing this stuff. Granted, I know what an American looks like because there's not too many white dudes full of tattoos wearing flannel over there that are bad guys. But when you see dudes running around in body armor and helmets and have, war belts on, and they're carrying M4s as opposed to AKs, those dudes are a lot more recognizable. The positions in the team usually stay roughly the same. They're not going to change all that much. It all depends on the mission. It all depends on if the principal wants you to take all your guys or just some of your guys. I mean, there's 1,000 other variants there. But generally speaking, it's not going to change unless you get promoted or something like that. Okay, so what exactly are we wearing? We start with the rifle. Everybody's getting an M4 rifle. Again, depending on what you get issued and or depending on if they let you bring stuff in is what your like optics and flashlights and magazines and lasers and all that shit is going to be, okay? Varies by company to company. Again, with the helmet, same thing, depends on where you work, who you work for, if you can bring your own stuff in. That all depends on what kind of cool guy helmet you're going to get. High cut, low cut, from the 80s, from the 2000s, who knows, right? Body armor, They are obviously going to give you a vest. You can change that out for something you're wearing. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes they don't like it. A lot of people are still stuck in this, like, everybody has to look the same, dress right, dress mentality, which is asinine to me, but whatever. The plates you get, whoo, that varies like big time. So the plates that we had, I cannot remember the first plates I had. I can't remember if they were steel or ceramic. I want to say they were steel, and then we got ceramic ones later. I can't remember, but anyways, when I transitioned from that and became a cop, they gave us like, and bless their hearts, people like donated stuff, right? And because they just want cops to do great things, but it was just like the shittiest stuff money could buy. Like, they were steel plates and they were just horrible, and they weighed like 97 pounds. The plates I have in here were given to me by a good friend of mine who does way cooler shit than I could ever dream of. He was in town one time and for training, and he needed a gun to carry for the week. I let him borrow one of my pistols to carry around, concealed carry for a week. And then in return, he said, "Hey bro, I'm getting new plates as soon as I get back to the things that he was doing." And he said, "You want these?" And I picked them up and I was like, yeah, they weigh just right at around 3 pounds, front and back. And they are 7.62 AP plates. So they can take 7.62 armor piercing rounds. They're light as hell. Especially for the agency the guy works for, it's like pretty awesome. So he just gave them to me. So I put those in my vest. Probably have better plates than 99% of the cops out there, but whatever, right? As far as mags go, you can't go wrong with Magpul mags. I mean, you just can't. You know, they're tried and true, and they're pretty awesome. The old military metal mags, if you change out the follower for a Magpul follower, because they don't tilt, they're anti-tilt followers, and then you change out the base plates, because those base plates and the metal ones can bend and get fucked up really easy. So you change out the base plates, change out the follower, and those magazines are great too. I've seen those magazines go through a lot of shit, and they're still good. As far as Glock magazines, OEM Glock magazines are great. Obviously, I also have the Magpul ones. I have not had any issues with the Magpul ones at all. So as far as I know right now, they're doing pretty awesome. And that's about it for magazines. Obviously, you can have, again, depending on where you work, you have those big drum magazines. You can do the dual mags like this, you know, all that stuff if you want to. Let's see. So we have primary rifle, secondary pistol. You always have a tertiary weapon with you. This here is just the cold steel spike. I don't know if you can even see that. So it's my tertiary weapon. Basically, it's on my body armor, and it's used with my offhand in case I am fighting. More than likely, I'm going to be fighting with my strong hand. I can grab this from either side if necessary, but this thing is only in case of very close quarters. I'm either out of ammo or I can't grab my weapon and all my buddies are down, you know what I mean? This is like emergency stuff right there. Let's see, these, should I go? These are for marking, we'll just say that and leave it at that. Gloves, obviously, a giant med kit. I carry usually at least 2 med kits, this one, and then there's this one here, way over here. Why? Because I don't want to see my friends die, and I don't want to die myself. On the back, we have kind of one of those bags that goes on here. You can put your hydration in here depending on how long you're going to be out. It's always good to have agua, and then you can put all kinds of stuff in here. You can put extra rope, extra, breaching stuff. You can put, the list just goes on and on. Even pokey bait you can throw in there. That about goes for that. Let's see, helmet. Obviously, you're gonna have like nods. You're gonna have markers. You're gonna have ear pro. You're gonna have probably some sort of light on here in case you have to search a room at some point. On here, This is actually my range belt. So I got ear pro, I got gloves, obviously. This here, a lot of people see these like on videos and don't know what they are. So originally what this is when you're flying in birds, right? You don't want to fall out, and a lot of dudes fly doors open with their feet dangling off. You clip yourself in, okay? Clip yourself into the bird. That way, if it does a hard bank, you don't fall. The rule of thumb when you're flying in a bird like that is this is a quick release. Always have the quick release on you, and then the carabiner on the bird. That way, nobody has the option to quick release you out of the bird. You always have the option to quick release yourself from the bird. What else this is great for is if you are riding in an up armored Suburban, and like we talked about, the seats face out to the sides. You can clip yourself into the Suburban as well. So if you have to crack right and have to crack left, and you have to lean out and press against the door, you hit a bump or something, you're not going to fly out of that vehicle, because that would suck as well. So that's what this is for. It's not super cool guy special. A lot of people see it and want to have one simply because they saw their favorite YouTuber or whatever have it. But there's actually a purpose for it. Let's see. Flashlight. I mean, you can pick and choose whatever flashlight you want to use. That's an Inforce that I bought like a million years ago. Like I said, this is my range bag, or my range belt, excuse me. You can spend $1,000 on a Surefire if you want. My preferred light actually is up here. Is a Streamlight. The reason why is because I had a bunch of stuff in storage, and when I took that, it was in storage for about 1.5 years. When I took it out, this still worked. The Streamlight still worked, right? All my Surefire lights didn't. I'm not going to say that Surefire sucks, because they obviously don't. I'm just going to say that when I pulled stuff out and they were in there for 1.5 years, my Streamlights still worked and my Surefires did not. Surefires are twice as or more expensive than a Streamlight. So, my Inforce lights still work too. This is an older one. God, I don't even know the lumens or whatever on it. It's not all that great, but it's good for a range light. And you know, if it falls out of the range, I never see it again, I'm not going to be all that butthurt either. Let's see, what do we got here? Okay, so we have a bag, you know, for you throw your magazines or whatever in here. This is great for the range when just picking stuff up, right? First aid kit, obviously. We have a knife on there. We have up here, this is from Soil Eater. If you guys never heard of that company, I want to say they're from Ranger Bat, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, they make some cool products. This here is a tourniquet holder. It goes in line with your belt as opposed to up and down, which is nice. And then obviously you're gonna have a gun. I think that about covers it. Again, depending on what your job is, depending on who you work for, you may have more or little of this stuff. You may have cooler guy stuff. You may not have cooler guy stuff. It completely depends. I know dudes who work for certain 3-letter agencies that have the coolest guy stuff that you can imagine. I never worked for one of those cool guy 3-letter agencies, so I didn't get that stuff. Now I'm kind of sad. For example, when he got a new weapon, they gave him a Pelican case. He opened it and it was full of almost every optic you could want to play with, and they said choose whatever you want. He was like, bullshit. You could have a shorty 10.5 inch, right? Or you could have a longer gun, you can have an older gun, you can have a newer gun. I mean, it all depends. I can't speak to what like the DDMs carried. I was never a sniper. So they probably carried a little different stuff. I carried a saw for a while, a light machine gun for like the first year or so, I guess. That was like my third weapon, you'd say. So if something did go down, basically I would just grab the saw and use it. Let's see. Other than that, I think that's about it. ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, drop them down below. I don't know how to do links and stuff, but if you look back, you can see the rest of the PSD stuff that I did. And if you have any ideas for any more videos in the future, let me know, because I'm going to go ahead and start making videos more and more now that I'm a little less busy. And remember, always ask yourself, are you an asset or a liability?